สวัสดีครับ I'm Point from ค้นพบ Today I want to present the concept of suffering or the nature of suffering from a different perspective. First of all, it could be said that suffering is self-created. Now I borrow this from Eckhart Tolle. Suffering is self-created. It is not that there's something out there in the external world, not some situation, not some circumstance, not somebody else, not some other object or some other life situation that is producing your suffering. Actually, in truth, it is a result of your mind. Your mind is what creates your own suffering because it is in resistance to what is. In other words, suffering can only happen when your mind is in resistance to how the current situation of reality has unfolded for you. Perhaps there's something going on in your current situation, your current circumstance, how life is going for you, that you add an additional layer of mental projection, mental judgment, based on likes and dislikes, and the conclusion goes along the line of something like this. I just got diagnosed with a health illness. I just feel so devastated. I don't like it. I'm scared. I don't know what is going to happen to me next. My boss was really mean to me the other day at work. How dare he, how dare she do that? My coworker was talking behind my back. How dare that manipulative asshole do this to me? The current pandemic situation, COVID-19, is still spreading really, really quickly and really, really badly, and this ruins my plans for Christmas and New Year's. It's going to affect the economy, and the current political situation in my country is still just as bad as it has always been. It's just depressing. It's just hopeless. You see? You notice how those judgments are based on looking at a situation and not looking at it for what it is, but you're adding an additional layer that says that I don't like the way it is, or it's bad in some way, shape, or form. And then your mind continues to believe that which you have projected. You identify with the thoughts that come up in your mind, and it continues to create a whole big issue or a whole big story out of it, and the result is you suffer. Now, I borrow this concept. Well, of course, it's actually nothing new. It's not really a new perspective. But I borrow this concept from a lot of Buddhist teachings, Buddhist philosophers, and a lot of spiritual teachers, especially that who I just mentioned, Eckhart Tolle, and also Alan Watts, who I feel have been able to really articulate this in a really concise and clear manner about what's going on here. Again, reality just is. There may be some aspect of your life that's not going the way you want. You know, it could be a health situation. It could be to do with your finances, your job, your career, your relationships, both in terms of relationships with your colleagues and co-workers and boss, which is we could call your professional relationships. It could be relationships with your friends and family. It could be something about your romantic relationship. Perhaps you recently got out of a relationship, broke up with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, or your wife, and you suffer. But if we really look closely at how this happens, how the experience of suffering happens, we have to eventually come to the realization, which is a humbling realization, which is that in truth, suffering, almost all of it, if not all of it, is created by yourself. Now, it may seem a bit depressing to put it like that at first, but once you really understand what's going on here, I think it's actually quite empowering, because if you truly are able to step back, gain some perspective on this issue, and look at it objectively, then what happens is you have a choice that arises in your mind. And with that choice lies empowerment, because you can choose to train yourself to do the best of what you've got and transcend that suffering to some extent, to some degree. So we could start with small, easy things in life. When you're commuting to work, when you're waking up in the morning, perhaps you're really tired, you had a long day yesterday, and you're waking up still feeling that you didn't get enough sleep, and you've still got another long day ahead of you for work. And then you get up, you shower, brush your teeth, have breakfast, and drive to work or commute to work. And there's the traffic jam, there's the congestion again. Practice with the small things. Notice how your mind is going off on this mental story, this narrative, where it does not like how reality is currently unfolding for you. And in that sense, you reject what reality is. You resist it. It is almost as if you are shaking your fist at the universe, right? You're protesting the universe. You're protesting life. You're protesting God, if you believe in God. So that, in that sense, that protesting is self-created. Because if we're being honest here, we chose to follow the mind's narrative to protest some aspect of how life has unfolded. Again, whether this is a health situation, a financial situation, economic situation, political situation, family situation, relationship situation, work situation, professional situation, anything for that matter. Right? So the key here is to begin to train yourself to look at things for what they are and recognize your own mind when it starts to complain, when it starts to protest the situation in the way that it has unfolded. And try your best to just take the action that is necessary to do the best to solve the situation, and try your best to accept and let go of what cannot be changed or what cannot be solved. In other words, can you just simply take action and do what needs to be done without needing to add on to it the additional layer of mental projection? I hate this. Why am I doing this for that asshole of a boss? I hate this coworker. Why do I gotta work with him? I hate that coworker. Why do I gotta work with her? Why is my boyfriend or girlfriend acting like such a selfish person? Why did they break my heart? Why do I have to be diagnosed with this health issue? Why do I have to have financial struggles? What did I do wrong? Right? Try your best to practice staying present with what is and doing what needs to be done. If you do this right, what you're training is, you're training yourself two things, I would argue. On a psychological level, we could say, you're training yourself coping skills. You're training yourself coping skills. Your ability to cope with the current challenge or the current difficulty or how life has currently unfolded for you is increasing. Your skills in that regard is increasing. Your tolerance level is increasing. Now again, coping or acceptance does not mean to welcome it. It does not mean to force yourself to like it. I'm not saying to lie to yourself to say, this traffic jam, I love this traffic jam. No, that's taking it to the other end of the extreme, right? That's misunderstanding what is trying to be communicated here. You don't have to like the situation, but the point is you also don't have to suffer unnecessarily. You see that? You don't have to like the situation, but you also don't have to suffer unnecessarily. And once you train this over and over again, start with small things. Start with the traffic jam. Start with how the food is the wrong order. Start with how the food at the restaurant was not prepared in the way that you wanted. And you're having a disappointment at your dinner after a long, hard day at work, right? practice acceptance, practice coping, practice non-complaint, right? And what you're doing is you're essentially training your own mind to build confrontation skills. Confronting meaning in this context, meaning to be able to accept and tolerate. And when you have strength to accept and tolerate, your mind is more likely to be present with what is. And from then, can you move with power? From then, can you move and do the right things to solve the problem as needs be, without needing to suffer? And here's where the choice arises. You now have a choice to choose how you want to look at the situation. And you tend to naturally focus on growth, focus on doing the best of what you've got, focus on being more patient today than you were yesterday, focus on being more tolerant and having better coping skills today than you were having yesterday. And you begin to realize the growth process happening here. You begin to appreciate it more, and you begin to learn to embrace life's challenges more. You begin to learn to embrace that life will throw you challenges, and your job is to learn to deal with them in a helpful, empowering way. And once you learn to deal with life situations without the need to add additional suffering to it, you really begin to learn how to live life, and you really begin to beat the game of life per se. And that's where growth happens. That's how the process of learning takes place. Again, once you can cope and tolerate it, you're essentially teaching your mind and your brain that you have more skills and resources and capabilities than you previously gave yourself credit for. Somebody who begins to recognize this will become less inclined to react to the situation and more inclined to respond mindfully and do the best of what they've got and let go of the outcome or let go of the circumstance, because they know that they cannot control everything in life, but what they can control is how they choose to look at the situation and choose to respond to it. And this we could consider the psychological component of learning to deal with suffering more mindfully. Now there's a deeper component to this, which I want to continue to talk about. Again, another way to say you're coping with the current challenge that life is throwing at you is to say you're accepting how reality has unfolded in the here and now, in your present moment. Say you went to the doctor today and you got diagnosed with some concerning health issue. Right? You got diagnosed with a health issue, and what do you do? What do you do with that? Acceptance means to surrender into what is. Now, I borrow this again from Eckhart Tolle, and I want to clearly articulate the fact that surrender does not mean to give in to the mind's narrative that you feel somehow a victim to life, that you feel somehow you were wronged by somebody, by a coworker, by a colleague, by the financial situation, by the political situation, by the health situation. No, that means you're still believing the mind's narrative, and therefore you will still suffer. Surrendering means to accept the current reality of the situation and do the best of what you've got to solve it mindfully, and try to be as mindful as you can and be most aware as you can about your mental projections. Is there some part of it that is resisting this news that you were diagnosed with a health issue or a financial problem or a relationship breakup, right? Notice the monkey mind that's trying to get you to react to a situation. Notice the monkey mind that's trying to get you to look at the situation with a sense of defeat, a sense of victimization, falling victim to it, a sense of being wronged by it, a sense of being hurt by it in some way, shape, or form. Notice that. Just notice it objectively, without judging it. And try your best to bring your attention back and do what you can. And that's a very powerful practice that I want to propose. I'll give you an example for myself. Even today, usually previously, many months ago, I would film videos late at night because You can probably tell there are sometimes background noise that the microphone captures that comes from the traffic in a nearby street where I am living, and from the room, there you go, nah, somebody's honking their car, right? So I have to film late at night because only then do I have more, quiet time, and it's better for filming. But lately I've tried to switch from that because it's too late and it's too taxing on the health and my sleeping pattern. So now I'm filming during the day, and you can probably notice there's a lot of disturbances in even this video clip. And my own practice would be to accept what is, right? Sometimes that means accepting that I will be distracted by a noise and I have to start over another clip. Sometimes it means I have to start over the clip because the vehicle passed by, made a very, very loud noise that was very disturbing. Sometimes many cars pass by all at once, and it's just like literally 1 minute of non-stop noise disturbance. So I have to restart the video again, even though perhaps I felt I did a good take. So do you notice that in this example, there's a difference between starting over and doing the best with what you've got, and then saying how, oh goddamn, that car again, those annoying cars again. Why won't they stop? It's just so annoying. Am I ever gonna get this video done? That interpretation, that way of thinking, is the beginning of suffering, because it is essentially my mind projecting a form of dislike or projecting a form of resistance to how the current situation is. And it serves to add a layer of stress to my work, to what I'm trying to do, right? And that layer of stress will easily bring in all the other unhelpful thoughts and thinking habits that come in to make the situation much bigger than what it truly is. In fact, it's just a car passing by. It's just simply noise passing by. I could also learn to look at it like that, right? So I hope these small things are an example that you can relate to. Maybe there's something in your life that you can begin to use as practice in your daily routines, right? Perhaps your commute to work that is met with traffic jam, congestion, or a crowded train ride to work, for example, right? Use that as your practice to be aware of your own mental projection of dislike, of labeling, of blaming, of arguing with reality, and come back to the present moment. And only then can you move with power. Try that and see the results for you. Okay? I hope this video was valuable, and I hope some of these examples, especially this one in real time, right? So in that case, I was able to communicate this as a real life example from my end. Hope this was valuable for you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. สวัสดีครับ